Hi, guys.
Good morning.
Good
Hi,
morning.
Nabash.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Very well, and you, ma'am?
I'm very good, thank you.
Can I ask you a quick question before we start?
Sure.
In your press release, you say that Jaden Hendrickson comes into the team in place of Kuta Mkunu. But in the actual, when you run through the team list, he's still amongst the subs.
Apologies for that. So Kuta is in the starting lineup and Vian is on the bench. That should have been changed.
Okay, so there's only one change as the skipper coming back.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, thanks, man.
Thank you. Cool. Okay. We're going to start. I'm just waiting to admit one more person in. It's Ken. Okay. Good morning, all. Thank you for joining us at this team announcement presser with South Sea Sharks head coach Sean Everitt. I'm going to open the floor for questions.
Sean, Mark here. Can you hear me, Sean?
You're on mute, Sean.
Can I go ahead?
Yes, Mike.
Yes, you can. Okay. Sean, I'm sure you're not one of the number who underestimated the Lions coming to South Africa. And I guess the match against the local Lions the other day put any of that to bed. Just your thoughts on the enormity of the challenge with a young up-and-coming team such as yours against such an international class side.
Yeah, it's a massive challenge for us, Mark. You know, they're the best in the UK and Ireland. So yes, they are a massive team and a team with a lot of top-class individuals. So yeah, it's a great challenge for our guys to measure how far they're away from international rugby. You know, we learned a lot from their recent game against the Golden Lions. And we know that we have to be ready for this game and we need to be switched on at all times because, you know, they do play at a high intensity and they do speed the game up. And it's something that we've been working on in South Africa, but we're not quite there yet.
How's it, Sean? It's Gareth here. I just wanted to gauge your thoughts on the Lions sort of saying that, you know, the local Lions team that they faced were really not up to standard and they kind of had to readjust their tactics as the game went on, considering that they didn't get the sort of attacking and defensive challenge that they thought they would get. I mean, what sort of chats are you having with your players in terms of taking the physicality to the Lions? Because I know in previous tours past, the midweek teams are supposed to really soften up the Lions before the tests start. Obviously, it's still a couple of weeks away before those tests start. But, I mean, is that first and foremost really get in their face and take the challenge to them, considering, you know, what they said about the first local team they faced?
Yeah, I think, you know, the local Lions team probably weren't aware of what an international team can bring. And likewise with the Sharks, we are inexperienced. But like I said, it was a good learning curve for us and we know what's coming our way. We definitely are going to take it to the Lions. Our guys are prepared really well and are focused on the job at hand. Although these games aren't for log points or league points, you know, they're really important to the South African cause. And I know that our guys will be up for the challenge. It's a matter of keeping it up for 80 minutes, and that's why we've gone for a 6-2 split on the bench.
Hi, Sean.
How's it?
My question is just about the way the Lions, the Golden Lions, so to speak, approach that game, and how you guys will try to avoid doing the same. And they were very individualistic. I know there's a lot of talk of this being such an honor And there's also talk of maybe Springbok places being still in the air in case of injuries. But what we saw from Saturday was that the Golden Lions were fragmented because it seemed like they wanted to prove individually that they can play against the British and Irish Lions. How are you guys going to approach the team play to make sure that you in the way you usually do?
Our focus is always on team first. I think any guy that goes off program again in a game of this stature, will pay the consequences on the field and in the game. So everything's got to be team focused. We are a performance-driven team, and we know that we need all 23 on match day to be able to achieve peak performance. In saying that, I don't think any of our individuals will go on their own program, to be quite honest with you. It's going to be a massive team effort for us, and that's what we focused on in our preparation.
Hi, Sean. I just want to know what do you think is the difference between the British Lions and obviously that they made up out of international players, but playing wise, are they much different than what you'd get from a South African side, and if so, in which ways?
Yeah, tennis, I think, from a physicality point of view, they're right up there with the best in the world. They do vary their play. It can go from a contestable kicking game to a running game, and they will play what's on in front of them. But I think the most important thing, because of the quality of the players and the quality of their squad, they leave no room for error. They give you nothing. They've got incredible defense, good line speed on their kick chase, and they put the breakdown under tremendous pressure. So from our side and our preparation, we've spoken about our accuracy and not giving them too much either. But at the same time, we've got to understand that, they will play whatever opportunity is given to them. So we really need to have the lights switched on during that game for the full 80 minutes.
Sean, you mentioned the Lions being another level up in intensity and speeding the game up. We saw what happened to the Bulls in the Rainbow Cup final. And do you feel that South African rugby in general, maybe this is a little bit where things are lagging behind a bit? And do you feel that the Sharks are actually maybe a little bit ahead of other teams in South Africa? Because you've been going on about this for a long time, trying to speed up the tempo and the speed of the game.
Yeah, I think obviously in Europe, there's a big emphasis on ball in play, and especially in the UK and in Ireland. I know that for a fact. So if you look at a game recently between Ulster and Leinster, the ball in play time was 52 minutes. And in South Africa, in the recent Currie Cup, which finished at the end of January, we averaged ball in play between 26 and 30 minutes. And therefore, in the preparation games, Rassie came up with a plan for us to increase that. So that Lions game that was played on Saturday, the ball in play was 39 minutes, so a little bit higher than what we expected. But yeah, it's certainly something that we want to work on. It's something that we have been working on. But obviously that also depends on the nature of the game. But yes, we do want to play at high intensity because that's obviously preparation for later in the year. And this game on Wednesday night is going to be a test of where we're at as far as that's concerned.
Sean, I just and obviously the Boks returning to action. What did you make of Fussy rather, and his debut? I'm sure you must have been pleased at the way he performed.
Yeah, Apelele Fussy, he's just been, in sublime form, every time he takes the field for the Sharks. And I was just so pleased for him that his first touch of the ball ended up in a really good finish, in the left-hand corner. So, yeah, it's really exciting for him. His teammates were cheering in the team room while we were watching the game here in the hotel. And it was just so good for him to be able to get a dream debut like he did. Every time he touched the ball, something happened. He was good under the high ball as well. So, yeah, we're very happy with Apelele Fussy, and hopefully, he's put his hand up for a test place later in the series.
Sean, just a word on Jaden Hendrickson. Once again, he's really put up his hand and proved how good he is despite his age. He gets to go up against the Lions this week. Someone like Sanele being sort of third choice in the Springboks might not get to face the Lions, but a guy like Jaden gets that opportunity on Wednesday night. How big is that for him?
Yeah, it's massive for him. 2 years ago, he was still a schoolboy. So it's great that he gets an opportunity to put himself against the best. Jaden has played really well for the Sharks over the last few weeks. He manages the game exceptionally well. He's got a good kicking game, but he's also really physical. You see him cleaning out the breakdown, and you also see him stealing ball on the floor, and he's a good defender. So, yes, it's exciting for Jaden. Just like his brother, I don't think there's many brothers that have played against the Lions, in one series for different teams. But Jordan had a good game against the British and Irish Lions on Saturday, and Jaden gets his turn this week. And I think, for the entire squad, it's a great experience, and it'll be a really good learning curve for us going forward to what to expect if these guys played at an international level later on.
I guess the same could be said for Kerwin Bosch as well, not being in the Boks squad, but getting a chance against the Lions.
Yeah, I think these guys that are on the fringes of national selection, have got something to prove. It's an opportunity for them to put their hand up. And if there are injuries and changes to the Springbok setup, that they're willing and ready to take the opportunity if it's granted to them. But that's got to come from really good performances from those individuals. But in saying that, and get back to the point earlier, we're not going out there to play as individuals. We want to put in a good team effort.
Hi, Sean. Sorry, Sydney.
No, go ahead. I've asked once.
Okay, cool. Okay. Now, Sean, you talking about the team objective. I don't know. We seem to be living in a different sort of world these days, where nobody really talks about the history of say Sharks or what previously was Natal against the Lions. But Natal won the Currie Cup for the first time in 1990 in their 100th year. You've never actually beaten the Lions. 1924, Taffy Townsend's team drew with them. Is that any part of your sort of motivation for the players, that it's a chance to, I know it seems like a long shot after what you saw that happened to the other Lions the other night, but is that any part of you that this is a chance to go through a sort of frontier that no Sharks or Natal team has ever gone through before?
Funny enough, Gavin, we spoke to the team about that yesterday. It is an opportunity to make history. They'll forever be in the record books if they achieve that on Wednesday. So, that's the seriousness that we take in this game. As long as you take the field and you give it your all, there's always going to be an opportunity to win a game like this. So our guys, under no false pretenses of what the challenge is going to be facing them, but they certainly know that if we put it together and can stop their momentum and power game, that will be in with a shot.
Okay, just on that thing. Sorry, just as a matter of interest, because I know you sort of born and bred Natal boy. You were probably too young in 1974, but did you go to the 1980 game between Natal and the Lions where they lost in the last minute to John Carlton try?
Yes. Yeah, so we obviously have been seeing quite a lot of highlight packages on social media as well as, on SuperSport as well. So, the guys were sitting keenly in the team room the other day, and they were watching the 2009 game with interest. And obviously there were some flashbacks of Luwazi Mvovo catching Brian O'Driscoll from behind, which put Luwazi on the international map. So, yeah, the guys are really excited, and obviously, we're very proud to be Sharks rugby players and privileged to be part of a setup like we are, and with the proud history that the union has. So, yeah, so I suppose the guys really are looking forward to making history.
Sean, just given the speed of the Lions at the breakdown, how good is it for you to have a guy like Pepsi back captain the side in conjunction with Timberlani and James Venter, and how key will that battle be at the breakdown?
Yeah, we know that they go hard at the ball and they're physical in the tackle. They also try and hold you up. So it's about us fighting to the ground and making sure that our support players get there really quickly. But to get back to your question about the three Lucy's, James Venter has played, and Timberlani Bally have played well together over the last couple of weeks. Pepsi unfortunately picked up a concussion, but to have him back in the team and captaining the team, certainly strengthens us in that department, because he played exceptionally well against Griquas and against Western Province. Against Griquas. So he's been in good form of late, and I think it's a good opportunity for him to put his hand up.
Thanks.
Sean,
Yeah, can I ask you a question? With your permission, away from the Lions match, can I ask you about the appointment of Vicente, if I've got it right, the Georgian scrum consultant? What was the thinking behind his appointment, sir, and how did you guys come about appointing him as a scrum consultant for South African side?
He obviously comes with a lot of experience. Our CEO, Ed, knows him very well. He was the French national scrum coach. So we just felt that, you know, with the issues that we had at scrum time, whether it be personnel, that it would be good for us to focus in that area. We were using Don Himan as a consultant, but now that he's full-time with the Boks up until the end of the year, he's not available. So I think it's just a good opportunity for us to bring someone in and hopefully can add something different to our players. We're always looking to develop our players and trying to get, you know, knowledge in from outside of our borders to see where we can improve. And this is just an example of where we want to go.
It's just coincidence that he's been appointed now during this series, sir. And what type of experience and talent do they bring to a South African setup? I was also trying to think, Sean, is there any relationship between South Africa and Georgian rugby, or are we helping each other to develop our games, perhaps?
The relationship that we have with coaches around the world are probably more individual based. So, you know, I tend to consult with a lot of my friends that I've met over the years in rugby. But if you look at the Georgian scrum on the weekend against the Boks, you know, it was really strong. They gave us some trouble right in the beginning of the game. So they're a country that prides themselves in their set piece. And us going north at the end of September, it's going to be vitally important that we're ready in those areas. So yes, it's a different voice, and obviously, hopefully, you can bring something.
Hello, Sean. Could I ask you from Ireland here, just the early...
He's only spending 2 months with us, and then he's going to be returning back to France. So it'll be good for us to get him in.
Ken?
Sorry about that. The Wi-Fi just went. Can I just ask you, have you had at this early stage any chance to pick the brains of Knoll in terms of getting some inside information on the British Lions team?
No, we haven't really chatted about it. We weren't sure about what team we were going to face, and at this stage, we've been predicting the team that we'll probably face on the weekend, like I suppose everyone else has, and you journalists have as well. So, yeah, we have been in contact with Knoll. I think the guys have watched a lot of the rugby overseas in the Northern Hemisphere, so we know the players pretty well, and we know that whatever's coming our way is going to be a challenge for us from an individual perspective.
And just generally, what kind of influence do you hope he might be able to bring?
I think that obviously the experience of being in the Northern Hemisphere is really massive for us. The Pro 16 or the United Rugby Championship is a new experience for all of us. None of us have been involved in it at the Sharks. So bringing in a guy like Knoll, he'll be able to help us as far as that's concerned. We spoke about the ball in play minutes. I think for us, that's going to be our biggest challenge from a South African point of view. And he's got a lot of experience in that. So yes, Knoll and I have been chatting, and he's already had some input into our plans going forward. So it's really exciting for us, and it's also good for the players to have a different voice and some different ideas coming out of Ireland, where we know they spend a lot of time on the development of their coaches.
Sean, you've spoken about the inexperience in your squad for this game. Does that maybe mean that you lean more on Curwin Bosch? Obviously, although that he's young, he has played top-level rugby. Is he going to be more important than ever?
Yes, very much so. Curwin's led our team, our game management and our tech over the last 12 months, and he's done it really well. So yes, the pressure will fall on him to direct the team. We've also got some experienced guys in the midfield, Jeremy Ward and Maurice Lowe, been around. So, they'll also help Jaden, who's a young nine, in a game like this. But yeah, generally Curwin is a leader within his own right in the team. Although he's not the captain, he does generally run the show.
And just can I ask you what it's like? Obviously, this is one of the biggest games for the Sharks, certainly in a 12-year period, but obviously it's going to be played several hundred miles away from home. How does that feel?
We've been here since Friday, so from acclimatization point of view, I think we'll be spot on. We come from the coast and we've come up to the half veld. We generally have done pretty well up here on the half veld in the past, and the guys have tested themselves over 80 minutes to 100 minutes up here on the half veld, and certainly feel comfortable with playing up here. But yeah, it would have been great to play in Durban. Unfortunately, the circumstances didn't allow that. But yes, it will be a little bit different. South Africa playing at home, although we in Johannesburg.
Sean, what were your own memories of 2009? What were you doing when the Sharks last played the Lions?
I was actually at the Sharks at the time. I've managed to hang around that long. So yeah, I have very good memories of that. I also have very good memories of John Smith scoring the first try against the British and Irish Lions in that test series as a tight head. But if you go back to my early days in the Eastern Cape, Gavin was talking about the 1980 Lions. In 1974, I remember watching the Lions play Border in that game. So it was really good experiences of watching the Lions. We got a lot of respect for them, and I'm just so glad it has gone ahead as scheduled, because obviously there was a lot of doubt about it under the COVID issues that we've had. So yeah, it's just exciting for all of us.
Final two questions.
Hi, Sean. My question is also centered around Cohen. What will this game say about his test credentials?
Yeah, I think for us, Kerwin's just got to manage the game correctly. I think game management in games like this is really important. We do know that they don't give you too much. So it's about obviously, exploiting the opportunities that we get. And most of those will come from Kerwin. We need to manage the game well in our own half, and we can't just play rugby and throw the ball around and expect things to happen for us. So we've got to make sure that we're accurate and execute well. If Kerwin executes his kicking game well and puts his outside backs away well, there's no reason why, if there were any issues, that he would be called up to the box.
Can I just ask you, Sean, you mentioned earlier that this match, although you guys are not getting log points, any fancy trophy out of a match like this is also part of the national cause. What exactly does that mean, Sean? Are you saying that this match could possibly also be an opportunity for some of your players like your Kerwins and to stake a claim and make a point to the national selectors also?
Yeah, very much so. So that's from an individual point of view, you're 100% correct. But, from a team point of view, we're also a proud rugby nation, and we don't want to be, rolled over by teams week in and week out. So the Sharks have got an opportunity now to improve on the Lions' performance on the weekend, and we're certainly going to grab that opportunity with both hands. And at the same time, the individuals, if the team performs well, they'll be putting their hands up for national selection.
Sean, there's been a lot of talk about game management and breakdown and all that sort of stuff, but none of that really matters if you can't get your hand on the ball. I mean, the set pieces are going to be possibly the biggest test of all for your team on Wednesday.
Yeah, very much so. I think, Vunipola will probably come in at loose head prop, and that, they'll have three very good loose forwards there, and they've got good line-out jumpers. So yes, the set piece is important for us, and we need to survive there. But the most important thing is that, we need to look after the ball when we have it, and that we put ourselves into position on the field to be able to put their defense under pressure.
I'm going to allow for one final question, and then Sean has to go. He has a team meeting at 11. Any further questions? Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank
you.
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks, Sean. Good
Thank
luck.
you.
Bye, guys.